Oh, we're live. Everyone hold up. I gotta find the intro. Where is it? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the...
Great start.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bullship podcast with Bill and Matt, where we're delving into everything you don't need to know about the supply chain. Today, we have a very special guest. It's not just Bill and Matt here in the studio. It's my good friend, Lauren Segura, and we are talking about a part of the supply chain that really no one else really thinks about as part of the supply chain, although I think of them as sort of the last link in the chain. Customer service. She is customer service
That's right.
director extraordinaire. We're excited to have her on. Welcome, everyone. Lauren, say hello.
Hello, everybody. I am thrilled to be here.
Wonderful.
Matt and I go way back.
Way
We've worked together,
too
seen
far
each
back.
other through some real highs and some real lows.
Indeed. I met you like right before you went on maternity leave for your first child.
My gosh, that's right.
Yes. And then like by the time that you got back, I was then on paternity leave for my first child. Yeah.
Yes. We had a little bit of overlap because I remember a lot of like swapping stories and watch out for this. This is coming in 2 months. Be careful.
Yeah, it was great to like have you sort of go through that like path before me and like, oh, this is what's going to happen 6 weeks from now. Great, fantastic. Like,
yeah,
this
watch
is normal.
out for sleep regression. Yes.
Bill, did you have anyone like that at your work that you could commiserate with?
What other parents?
Yes.
Yes, there are other parents where I work. We complain about our children all the time.
Okay, good. I'm glad that you had that support system in place, Bill.
Yes, I know lots of other, even outside of work, I know other parents, and they too complain about their children as much as I do.
I'm always very confused when like you tell me that you have friends out, like just period. Like, okay, I'm good. I'm happy for you, Bill.
I have friends with whom I don't even play Dungeons and Dragons. Can you believe that?
You continue to blow my mind, Bill.
Shocking.
So, Lauren, since you're now our second guest, it has become a running theme on this podcast where we will ask a very, very important question, which is, what is your favorite Girl Scout cookie?
Okay, Caramel Delight. Hands down. They have two different names in different places. The one, coconut caramel chocolate.
No, those are so bad.
That is the wrong answer, Lauren. I'm sorry.
No?
Yes.
Wait,
According to Matt, that is the wrong answer.
Well, what is yours? You know what I associate you with? I remember you getting those Oreos that were like the ultra mega stuff.
Yes.
They were lit, but the frosting was like...
Yeah, and then I would split them in half and double those up.
Sandwich.
I get like 16 layers of... It was fantastic. No, my favorite...
So no offense, but I don't trust your judgment.
Rude.
Okay, but tell me...
Bill's just like laughing.
What is the right answer?
I'm waiting to ask my question, because I do have a question for Lauren, too. If we can get in, like, get done with the chit-chat.
Let me answer the question that was posed to me.
Okay.
My answer was wrong.
Objectively, the best Girl Scout cookie is the lemonade.
The lemonade's fine.
Okay.
Can we talk about how bad the toast is, though?
The French toast?
That one's so strange. Yeah.
That's my second cookie. It's so good.
I think it's just not what I am expecting out of a cookie. I don't need a toast. I don't need a cinnamon toast in a cookie.
Bill is just smiling in the corner. He's so excited for this.
Matt, should we just boot her and do the podcast, the two of us, like we usually do?
Yeah, I'll see y'all.
Almost. Right. You're about, one more wrong answer, and like out you go.
Well, my earbud just fell out, so.
We'll edit that in post. We got it. Got a great editor on board here. Bill, what question did you want to ask Lauren?
Well, speaking of favorites, I know Lauren is coming from a dinosaur expo with her son, and so I want to know what your favorite dinosaur is.
There is a right answer. There is a wrong answer.
Oh, I can't wait to hear your right answer, Matt, because I have no idea.
I'm going to go last. You're going to answer the question next, Bill.
All right. Oh, we lost her audio.
Already on that, Bill, what is your favorite dinosaur?
This is going to really annoy you. I know this, okay? But I'm going to say it anyway because it is my favorite dinosaur. It's the Quetzalcoatlus.
Ooh, interesting choice, Bill.
I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it is definitely my favorite. There's so many more dinosaurs now than there were when I was a kid. There's so many more to choose from. No.
Still nothing, Lauren. Sorry. We can edit this. Don't worry. We'll cut it out. Yeah, they like keep. It's amazing how like they keep finding stuff. Bill.
There were
They
like
just keep.
5 when I was a kid, and one of them wasn't even a dinosaur. It was the Brontosaurus.
That's not a dinosaur.
No, it's a Patasaurus.
What? What is the difference?
So apparently, and I have not researched this at all in keeping with our program here, but apparently the Brontosaurus and the Apatosaurus are the same animal discovered by 2 different paleontologists at around the same time. The guy who found the Apatosaurus actually found it first, but everybody, for some reason, picked up on Brontosaurus. For years, it was called Brontosaurus. And then finally, scientists said, no, wait, the Apatosaurus guy got it first. It's Apatosaurus.
Let's check it with Lauren.
That's what I was going to get at.
Nice. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. That was all planned. I was going to say, like, growing up, it was Brontosaurus, but that's not even a thing anymore.
No. It's like Pluto.
I do feel like there are so many more dinosaurs. Let me think. Am I saying this correctly? Diplodocus?
Yeah.
Is it
It's a solid
Diplodocus or
choice.
Diplodocus?
No, it's Diplodocus.
Okay, I had that wrong.
I used to say Diplodocus all the time, and then, yeah. No, it's Diplodocus.
We did talk, Lauren, we did talk about Jurassic Park in an earlier episode, specifically around, like, the book is so much more wild than the movie is. It's so good if you have a chance
you know
to
what?
read the book.
I will. I haven't because, like, I was so young when it came out. I think my dad read the book, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and read that. That's a good.
Ian
I
Malcolm,
never thought about that.
one, because I know where you live. He's a professor at UT.
Really?
They don't talk about that in the movie. He is a mathematics professor at UT in Austin. And he is such a better, like, even though he's a great character in the movie, he's such a better character in the book where he's just calling every single thing as it's coming down. He's like, because math teaches me this information. Yes, it's great. Highly recommend it.
Okay.
Now, my turn.
Gonna add that to cart.
Yeah. And then maybe we should talk about supply chain and just kind of throw it out.
Fine.
All right. Stupid idea. Sorry.
My personal favorite, like, deep-seated love is the Triceratops, although a very, very close second is the pterodactyl.
Pterodactyl's up there for me. It's such a strange. I mean, they're all so strange, but yeah, a little flying.
And if you ever see a
Dinosaur is
pterodactyl
interesting.
like skeleton in person, they're scary AF. Like, as a grown man, they are scary to me. Like, this giant freaking thing could fly, and his face is bigger than my body. I'm not
That's
okay
what
with
I love about the Quetzalcoatlus. It's the biggest flying dinosaur they've ever found. It's like the size of a small plane.
What?
Yes.
I did not
Yes.
have that image in my head. I will now be looking this up.
Look it up.
That's wild. Yeah.
It's huge. Yeah. That's what's so crazy
Okay.
about it, right? Can you imagine like an animal the size of a small plane just like swooping down on you and eating you for like, it's just, I think it's wild.
No, no to this monstrosity. No, I don't want to imagine that roaming the earth at all.
Ever.
No, that's the thing that nightmares are made of. Thank you, Bill, for putting that into our collective heads. We should talk about customer service, because for years I did not think that customer service was part of the supply chain. And now, like, after having met you and having lived through life with you for quite some time, like, views totally changed. What is customer service, and like, how do they link up with the supply chain?
Customer service is, I mean, taking care of the customer. It's meeting or beating their expectations, which are constantly evolving and can be difficult to keep up with, especially, you know, as a small business. Yeah, it's kind of simply put, it encompasses all of that. It's just the customer wants what they ordered or what they are expecting for whatever reason, and it's up to us to take care of them.
Can I just ask a question? Because I'm already out of my element here, but I actually wanted to define the term, because when we're talking about customer, are we talking about consumers or are we talking about B2B?
That's a good question. So in my experience, I'm thinking like B2C, mostly e-commerce customers, some retail too. I've done some retail. So yeah, I'm mostly thinking e-commerce. I do think let me think, more of like a B2B, I think there's still like just keeping up your end of the partnership or the deal, whatever that is. So whatever that other business is expecting from you or pays you for or whatever, making sure they get it in a way where they don't have to contact you about it, or it takes to take care of the customer within reason, right? And so
Yes.
from a customer service perspective, it's like, okay, send them another thing, overnight it. Just overnight it, it's fine. All of those little costs, like as I kind of grew in my career, realizing how the cost of all of those things. Again, it might be worth it to overnight the whatever package to the customer, but thinking like,
Sure.
are they still in the same state as us? Ground will get there just as fast, and it costs a tenth of the price. So things like that, I learned a lot about that
So
from you.
one of the things I found was very interesting was the conversations that you would have with like the product development team. Because Bill,
Mm-hmm.
if you made something, right, right, even to include like some level of code, because I know that you're all about that like no code life, no code, low code solutions. This is
Way
what
to
Bill's.
bring that in there, Matt. Yeah,
I'm here
yeah.
for you.
I know about making physical products too. You know, you have to, yeah.
So like, how would you know if what you had made was right or was even performing to the level that you want it to? Like, someone has to ask that customer. Like, this is the interface that most companies have to like look at their quality, look at their product, is unfortunately their customer service. So in the like
Mm-hmm.
then the host of like issues that they're seeing, that interface is customer service. And so then like customer service is both like at the very end of the chain and then has to loop all the way back almost to the beginning to say like, hey, what we're making is not good. Here are all of the problems that we're having. Here's the like data that I'm tracking on customer complaints. It is astounding
Yes.
how many pieces of the like the supply chain customer service actually touches because they talk to the customer.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
I want to chime in here because like it's so great to hear you talking about it in that regard from a supply chain perspective, because you get, if you're not thinking about this stuff from a supply chain perspective, you can design products that are forget buggy, like even if they work but break down, like it can be really hard to replace those, that like the
Yep.
parts or whatever it is, if you haven't set your supply chain up to do that, and if you haven't designed your product in a way that is conducive to your supply chain, then you make this end consumer interaction really challenging, and everybody's just going to get angry at everybody else.
Now, Lauren,
Yeah,
this
and then it can become like a social media thing or a marketing. Like it can very easily, it touches. That was one thing I really like about customer service, is that we kind of work with everybody in the company. At least in my experience, we've been able to. But yeah, the feedback from the customers is truly priceless. And it gives some really interesting insight into things. And yeah, fixing problems. I don't know if you were going to get into this, Matthew.
hold that, because we are now almost at the middle part. We're gonna
Okay.
now like do our slick segue into some things. So hold
Okay.
on for that. Bill, if we
Okay.
wanted to talk about,
Athletic greens.
not there yet, if you want to talk about low code, no code solutions, making sure that our customers have ease of life with,
Okay,
the
so I think
various
he
things.
must have lost
He's
that
on.
connection,
He's
like
on.
you prepped us for.
Yeah, Matt's audio was going crazy here, but
Ah,
I think I know where he's heading with this.
am I
He wants
back
to
on?
talk about our sponsor, and he's probably saying something about no code because he talked about no code earlier, and he knows I'm a big fan of no code, which is why, and I'm an analyst and deep into analytics, and so
Y'all just let me
put
know
those
when
two
I'm back
together,
on.
and you get our sponsor.
You're on.
You're back. You're back.
Fantastic.
So you put those two things together, and you get our sponsor, Parabola, the spreadsheet
Parabola.
alternative. I know you know
Yeah.
them, Lauren. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but it's a really great cloud-based platform for data transformation. It's really designed to help you automate all the stupid button pushing that we all do in supply chain all the time in Excel.
Yes.
Right. So you know
Lots
the
of
routine, right?
Excel.
You download
Yeah.
all these files from your ERP, your POS, whatever you're working with, and then you've got to like write all these formulas, copy them together, look this up, write that, and maybe if you're getting really fancy, you're writing some VBA, and all the time you're crossing your fingers that manual file that you always have to deal with hasn't changed and it's not going to break your code. Well, Parabola lets you automate all of that. So like no more clunky manual files, no more hours spent copy pasting this, filling in formulas, trying to figure out what that column that accidentally got deleted was. It's got this really easy to use interface. It's just drag and drop all the steps I want to take to transform my data. You can schedule it, and then the data just flows. It's super cool. They've got this really great PDF parser too, which is super useful if you are dealing with like packing slips or bills of lading or all those supply chainy kinds of documents that we get in PDFs. They can just parse that for you and turn it into a nice spreadsheet that you can actually do analysis on. They just help you automate all the drudgery away.
Now, Bill, you have done a fantastic job of discussing the product for Parabola. But what I want to talk about that's more in line with our guest here is that Parabola also has spent a lot of time and effort building a community around the users of their product. So they are actively talking to users of hey, how do you use this software? What sorts of things are you doing with it that we might want to enable you to do easier upstream in the product itself? So Bill and I are both part of that wonderful community. We're very happy to be part of that. I was just having a conversation today with someone else about the joys of Parabola. So we're very happy to be sponsored by them.
That's awesome. It's a great point. Actually, I'll loop it back to our previous conversation because that PDF parser that I just talked about, and I don't know this for a fact, but I can pretty much guarantee that they put that into their product roadmap and got it out there in a hurry because they know by talking to all their customers that their customers are spending a lot of time getting these files and manually punching it into their systems, and they wanted a better way. And so they really do. You're right. They listen to their customers. It's a great, vibrant community. It's a great product. Highly recommended. Automate your data.
Thank you, Parabola.
Parabola.
That's great.
All right, Lauren, it's time to talk. Let's talk about some dirty little secrets. What are some of the most fun customer service calls or issues that you have dealt with? There is one in particular that I am thinking of, which I will say if you do not say one.
I'm trying to think back to some of our shared experiences. There was a time we had a new carrier we were using, and kind of, to touch on it, well,
they were new. They were a new carrier. You're fine.
They were a new carrier. They, on paper, checked the boxes, would have been great. I want to say they would have saved us millions, a lot.
Like $3 million. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
It still gets me. So
it's okay.
With this new carrier, we started getting some customer feedback or customer complaints that the deliveries, for whatever reason, were not occurring the way they were used to.
Certainly. Packages
were being left weird, whatever. It was just, and it was more than the normal. There's always a degree of oh, I don't know why they didn't leave it inside my parcel locker that I have
how dare they?
on the porch. There's always, some, and almost user error kind of, or things that we just simply cannot control as much as we would love to control the whole experience of you getting your package. There are sometimes things that are just, kind of out of our control, but we noticed, again, kind of going back to having the data in our ticketing system, being able to mark how many calls. My team was telling me feels like we're getting a lot of calls about this. It's okay, let's track it. Let's look through some examples. And yeah, it was an interesting thing because we wanted to give it a real chance. Things always, take some time to kind of get off the ground.
You're being far too kind. They drove through someone's grass through their
That's the one I was thinking
yard.
of. That's where I was getting.
Yes.
A customer said, this driver drove through my front yard. And this was one that Matthew and I were like, what? How?
How do you?
So, and was this one, they maybe had it on their Ring camera?
They definitely had on their Ring camera. We were both I don't know about that. This seems a little weird. And the customer's like, let me show you the video. And we were sitting in your office. And we're yep, full
watching it.
Refund. Yep.
Yeah, we're going to give you a full refund. That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah, driving through the yard.
Yeah. Now, in that driver's defense, that was not the first time that a car had driven through that yard. Very clear.
Right. Yes. And I remember us looking, I think we even like Google imaged the house,
Yes,
like looked it
we
up on
did.
Google Maps just to see.
We
And
totally
it was
did.
like, okay, I personally would not have driven through the yard,
Yes.
but it does appear that someone perhaps has in the
Yes.
past. And so I think, yeah, just unfortunately that the driver did take that option to
That
drive through
was
the yard was wild.
the other one that I
Yeah. And I
always.
think,
Go ahead.
oh, so I was going to say is, again, things sometimes just sound crazy. Like it's too wild to be true. Like there's no way. But what I have learned is, let's hear them out. Let's see, let's walk through it. Let's imagine, always put myself in the customer's shoes. Like if this is me and this series of things happens, like, yeah, I'd be really upset. I get it.
Yeah.
And especially for that one to be able to have such kind of a strange, I guess, complaint or, feedback that we've just never heard before.
Yeah.
And then it was true. We were like, hey, so this changes things.
Yep. Yeah, you weren't lying about that one. The other one that I remember was, again, man, Ring Doorbells, just whenever they want to sponsor this podcast, happy to have them as a sponsor.
Oh, that's a good one for you, yeah.
They really changed the game for like parcel delivery and customer service, because the other one I remember, again, another Ring Doorbell camera, was a customer complaining that their package had been thrown. And we were listening, we were watching the video. Yeah, I know you know the one.
I had forgotten about this one.
And like this driver is getting barked at by a dog. Like that dog sounded big, Bill. It was like, I was like, that is a large dog. I can hear how deep that dog's bark is. And the driver's like trying to do the right thing, but that dog is, even though inside, is just like, you can hear him almost coming at the driver through the house. And that poor driver's like, I'm not gonna do it. And like tosses it and runs. And you're like, again, not the right solution, but also totally see why you did it. 100%, like, sure.
Yes.
It's great.
It's kind of interesting to be able to look at both sides of the story, because I think that's important too. In customer service, again, we want to trust the customer and do what's right for them. But again, when there is kind of a weird or just an unusual story, it's like, a driver threw a box? We just hadn't heard anything like that before. But then to be able to see like, okay, that was true. I can also see why the other side of it. I could see why the driver perhaps
did not want
was
to
inclined
engage
to do
that large sounding bulldog. Yeah, that 100% get it. We did.
I'm really curious.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about the carrier, because you're saying like all the, like, this carrier did not perform well, obviously, and they've got someone driving through the yard, they've got someone who's throwing a box with maybe a good excuse, but like, how does this even happen how does a carrier? These are all individuals making individual decisions. Like, how does this happen pervasively within a carrier? Okay, you get my question, Matt.
So, Bill, I have used that carrier again since that time at a different company. They are still in business, so I'm not going to name names. Laura knows, and we will tell you after the call who that specific carrier was. I still think very highly of them. They were sort of my first entry to the like multi-carrier parcel solution, like, and specifically like smaller regional carriers. That's all I'm going to say about that. But what's happened with them happens with every carrier all over the place. It's not just like, it's not isolated to anyone. Whenever you allow a driver to like kind of take their like best guess, you're going to get something like this. I guarantee this happens with Amazon. When you get Amazon delivery, it happens with everyone. This is not like just one. It just happened. Unfortunately, they were sort of new into the e-commerce world. They had been doing B2B before. And so they had a lot of learning on their side. And like Lauren and I spent so much time on the phone with their chief operating officer every week for like an hour a week. We were like, hey, here's all of the things that you're wrong about. Let me tell you the top 10 like main issues. And he'd be like, yep. And like we would just walk him through in this very like big spirit of collaboration, and he'd be like, yeah, we'll get them fixed. And like to his
Well, and I
great
think,
credit, he went and fixed them all. It was great.
right. And so I think there's like that, as the company, or the vendor, the customer service that we received, while we wish that some of the deliveries didn't take place the way that they did, just being able to, having the COO get on the phone with us. We're not C-levels. We weren't C-levels then,
Nope.
and so to be willing to hear the feedback and do something about it was, I don't know. I think it really spoke volumes.
It did.
I think about them, that they were trying. They were really trying to keep up.
Yeah.
They just, we needed it to happen. We needed them to get with it much quicker, I think, than they were able to.
We spent about 6 months with them. Remember, like that was pretty good
It
amount of time.
was,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and all the data from, our ticketing systems, all that, being able to, again, this was a solution that was going to save us millions
Yep.
of dollars. We ended up going back to paying the additional $3 million because of just the experience.
Yep.
And where it was just too rocky for where, especially us, growing as the brand. And
yes.
Yeah.
So I'm curious now, because we talked about this before we started recording, but I'm kind of far removed from this part of the supply chain. And I assume that not all of your problems with this carrier were drivers going through people's yards or chucking packages. What are the kinds of things that you actually talked about with the COO? I'm trying to think of like the more run-of-the-mill ones that he was actually able to address.
So Bill, you'll appreciate this. Go ahead. What are you gonna say?
Didn't they do like some kind of like driver training or something?
Yeah.
They tried to address that as much as they could. I think they even sent it to us, what they were sharing with the drivers.
We actually approved the training that they were doing for their drivers. So
yes.
Bill,
yes.
what we were seeing as I was combing through the data, because I would pull all of the error reports from their system. So for every package, I could see the expected delivery date, the actual delivery date, and then any of the like codes that were associated with it. So in the case of like there's a hurricane, that's a weather code that like comes across in the data feed. So we had several of those. And wherever I would see like weather, because we were in Texas using a Texas company, it'd be like, oh, I don't remember there being weather in that city on that day. And then I would go and look it up like, oh, okay, yeah, there wasn't weather there. Or things like, oh, there was a locked gate, or there was no access code, or just like things like that would come over in the codes. And those are like driver reason codes of like, I couldn't deliver this package, here's the reason why. And then it would typically go back to the sorting center for another day and then go back out again. And I would see like, went out one day, came back, delivered the next day. What happened in that sequence of events? And then I would look at the reason code and it'd be like, just like a nothing. And I would go down to the point of like, oh, if you said there was a gate that kept you from this area, I'd go into Google Maps and I would find that gate. And if there was not a gate there, I would bring it back up to the COO. So what was happening was that drivers were they were taking too many packages on their delivery runs in the morning, and they couldn't deliver all the packages at a time. So at some point in the day, they would just say like, I'm done. And then they would apply a reason code for every other package in their truck. And that's when the COO actually was the one who figured that piece out for us. Because we were just going, hey, like it said there was weather in Houston on this day. There was not weather in Houston on that day. We looked up the weather reports, and he'd be like, okay. And then he went and talked to his like regional managers, and they figured out this problem of like, oh, drivers just coding these things because they don't want to deliver, or they had too many packages, or what have you. So they changed how they fed packages into the system. It was very interesting, like how the like back end of the system worked.
Yeah, that's a great story. And it's a great example of why we in supply chain should make friends with our customer service folks.
Always.
That's right. Always, yeah. And it really is so interesting from my perspective too, truly to just understand like all the different codes. I had no idea about that. I just knew like this customer was supposed to get their package yesterday. Why didn't they? And to be able to go, dive into all of the kind of seeming minutia, and it's so telling, and it all impacts the customer, which can impact bottom line, which can impact reputation. It is a very slippery slope, if in a good and a bad way.
The other fun thing that we learned together was the big national carriers. How much security they have was kind of insane. So the company that we were at, people were like basically trying to resell or upsell our stuff. Like customers were trying to do that. And they'd like take things apart and put them back together in weird ways. It was strange. Or they would just like outright lie to us and say, "Oh, I didn't get my package." So we had customers who were doing that over and over again. And we told we had two carriers, our big national one, "Hey, we think this is fraud." And fantastic sales rep. He was the best.
Oh,
Yeah,
I still think about him. He was great.
He was like, "I'll get our security team." And so what we found out was that the larger carriers, they have GPS in the actual like delivery device to say like, here is the exact spot on the earth where we delivered this package. You can know like when we click this button, here's the location it was at. So we did that on several occasions. So like, okay, yeah, I know where you're lying now. We know that on you, customer. We are not giving you a refund. You get nothing.
Yeah. Yes, it was very interesting. And he was so great. And he was a great example of like providing us with great customer service. And he set a real impossible bar, I think, for anyone else to meet. He was great. So you know what he even did? And this meant so much to me and to my team. I would go to him with any questions, feedback, any of the customer things. Like, we've noticed this is happening. Whatever issue, he's very quick to address it. Okay, let me see what I can find out. And he would then come back to me with an answer. It wasn't just, blowing me off. It was like, oh yeah, I asked about it, and here's what was happening.
And he would come physically. He'd come there in person.
Yes, he would come and have meetings and trainings with my team and let them just ask questions and talk about trends, talk about anything else that's coming up, and just answer questions. Here's what happens when a package is delivered, you can know that this is happening on our end in our systems. It was just so cool. And I think that, again, helps anyone in customer service kind of feel more connected to the whole organization. You don't feel like you're at the very end, when the whole end of the process, when something just goes wrong. It's like, no, it just helped. Yeah, you understand how it all goes together. So yeah, he was truly the best.
He has moved up several times since our days.
I don't doubt it. Yeah.
I chatted with him when I moved up to Dallas. He's
still, you did?
Yes, he's still doing great things.
Is he in Dallas?
Yeah.
Like, did you meet up with him? Like, actually?
Yeah. I know.
So cool.
He's great. I don't use them as much now, but yeah, he's still there, still fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, whenever I like have an issue with that carrier, I'm like, hey, can you just like weigh in here and like just force it to happen? He's like, yeah, I gotcha.
It helps to know people.
It helps to know people. Well, Bill, I feel like we are nearing the end of our time. Do you have anything that you want to bring up? Any final rounds? Anything?
I have one last question for Lauren, because Matt, you and I have been working together for, if you can call it work, on this podcast. If you can call it a podcast.
If you enjoy what you're doing, are you really working?
Let's call it work for the sake of argument here.
And we're not even getting paid, so I guess it's not really work in any sort of context.
Yeah. So Lauren, question to you, because you've worked with Matt a lot, as I understand it. For you, was it a challenging experience or a very challenging experience? Because
I'm going to mute my audio now so you can be truthful.
I will just say, he's very mean to me, in particular on LinkedIn. And I want to know what your experience has been.
My experience has been great, Bill. I'm so sorry.
I'll have to talk to my friends and
it helps that we went to the same college. That doesn't hurt things.
Yes.
No, truly, Matthew has been great to work with and was eager to understand the customer side of things. He could have very easily been like, no, we're not resending this. No, we're sticking with this company because they're saving a ton of money. Like, deal with it. And he didn't. He always wanted to know what was going on and what customers were saying and what was good, what was bad. And that makes a huge difference.
I mean,
there were several times where I did talk to our mutual boss of like, it's like, she's like, Lauren's saying that there's a lot of calls. I'm like, I mean, is it $3 million worth of calls? Because, like,
Yeah.
you know.
No, but that's a good, I mean, but that's a great point. And like someone has to ask that question. And I think for some companies, in some circumstances, it wasn't worth $3 million. Like, deal with it, figure something out. But
The real problem for me was always when we get to, like, just overnight it, Matt. And I go, but it costs so much. And then I realized, like, I did too good of a job. The prices are too low that we can just overnight it. And it's not like a huge exorbitant fee because, like, I've worked too hard and been too good at negotiating.
Yeah. And so from
This is my own ringing
my
endorsement for
perspective,
myself.
of course, anytime I'm in a circumstance where overnighting something to a customer is what we're looking at, I know there's a cost that goes with it, but having to weigh that cost against, is this small gesture on our end going to keep the customer for life? Do we think they'll come back? Social media is so powerful, and especially back when we were working together, I feel like it was it was becoming a big thing. And so like, okay, if it's going to cost us $20, $40, whatever, to overnight this thing to wherever, it is worth it to not have to deal with a social media post.
Cost benefit analysis on everything.
The old cost, yes, truly. That's it.
Bill, anything else?
That's all I got. It's been
Now's your time.
great bullshipping with the two of you.
Lauren, thank you so much for coming
Thanks
on.
for having me. This is great. Thanks so much.
You're so welcome. All right, so we're going to stop.